What's up, guys? We're back with another Turtles review, and we're taking a look at what is probably the big one at this point for the year, or for the remainder of the year, or whatever in the hell we've got going on. We're taking a look at the NECA 2012 TMNT. We're taking a look at all four of them. These all come in individual boxes. I know NECA sold them as a set, but it's just the same thing. I got mine from Walmart, but it's the same stuff. They all come in individual boxes, and they're all fairly similar. They're just sort of color themed. They do feature artwork that connects on the spine, so you can kind of make a scene with all of them if you want to keep the boxes. But we've got them here, and they're also numbered, just like a lot of the other Ultimate Turtle stuff. So think of the Toon line, for example. Donatello, for some reason, is number 1 because the Leonardo slander just never stops. So we've got Donatello. We've got Mikey as number 2. We've got Raphael, number 3. And then, of course, we've got the one turtle that matters most. We've got Leonardo, number 4, our leader. Now, like I said, these are all Ultimate style boxes, so if you're familiar with NECA stuff, you know what's going on at this point. So you've got some artwork on the front. We've got the logo on one spine. You've got some of that connecting artwork for each figure on the other spine, and the back of the box has a very stylized sort of alley look and feel to it. And then, as typical for Ultimate boxes, it does have the flap still. So you've got some artwork on the inside, and then of course you've got the figure there in the window with all of his stuff. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our NECA 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've got Leonardo on deck as our guinea pig for articulation. He may not be first on the boxes, but he is first in my heart now and forever. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. I will say before we get started, these figures are not carbon copies of each other. Raphael is a little bulkier, Donatello is taller, Michelangelo is a little bit smaller. They all still have the same articulation though. We're just not going to run through every single figure and every single joint because you don't want to be here all day. So as far as moving him around, he is still very NECA Turtle. Like if you've messed with the OG cartoon stuff, the Mirage stuff, you know what's going to go on here. He still has a lot of the same turtle shell hang-ups, I guess, as we expect to see. So you got a head that can look up pretty good. He can look down. He's got some tilt side to side there. You've got full rotation. The bandanas swivel. They're pretty hard too, so watch out for those. Arms go out at the shoulders. They of course swivel, but stuff does get in the way here, right? Like the front shell kind of gets in the way, the back shell gets in the way. He does have a bicep swivel. You've got double jointed elbows, pinless elbows, so you know those look great. They have really good range too. We've got hinges at the wrist. These are only lateral hinges. I believe all the hands are just lateral hinges. There's no verticals, even for, well, these are the gripping hands, even for those, and he has a sword. Now, the torso, there is a little bit, maybe a little bit more articulation here than past NECA Turtles, especially like the original cartoon stuff, but it's still not going to do too much. So they have a little bit greater tilt and sort of bobble inside, side to side, and then there is some forward and backward. But it's not going to do a whole lot. Like he obviously can't crunch. He can't go backwards or anything like that either. Your legs are going to go out to the side about yay far, maybe a little bit further. They kick forward if you twist them about all the way. This is not as soft as you might think it is, though. It's taut. It is soft, but it's taut, if that makes sense. And I'm probably describing it poorly, but that's how it feels. It doesn't have a great deal of give to it, and I always worry with a turtle like this that if you do kick the legs out too far forward, you're going to crack this thing over time. You do have a thigh twist up there. We've got double jointed pinless knees, which go back really, really far. Great range there. And then for these ridiculous feet, you do have like just insane rocker. Like this does have really, really good range. And still pretty good hinge too. It's not perfect because, well, it's this big club foot kind of situation, but it does move pretty well. So these things are, I mean, they're fairly similar to just about every other turtle. They do feel different in some ways in terms of like just the overall flow of the joints and maybe the feel of the plastic. But once you see how they move, you will instantly recognize, yeah, this is exactly what a NECA turtle is going to be like. It does move pretty well. I love the pinless double joints. It just makes things look a lot better, of course. And we do still have, as usual, kind of the hang-ups when it comes to the torso area, just because he's sandwiched between those two hunks of plastic. Now, all that said about articulation, and don't get me wrong, I was very curious about it to see how they stack up to other figures and other turtles that NECA's done. But the focus was always going to be the visuals and then to a lesser extent accessories, because while a lot of NECA turtles and a lot of turtle lines are very similar throughout the turtles. This series in particular, the turtles are different, and obviously that's not unique to this particular series, but this series, they're different, so they're not all the same sculpt. Leo is kind of a mid-range, Raph is slightly bulkier, Donnie is obviously taller, slightly lankier, and Mikey is just smaller in general. They all, of course, have different attributes to them. They have different footwear in some ways. They've got different color schemes. They've got different belts. Raph has battle damage. They all have different colored skin as well. So there's a lot going on here that makes these figures, in terms of other NECA turtles, stand out quite a bit. I will say, right off the bat, I think they look freaking amazing. I'm very, very happy with the way they turned out. I think they look just like we experienced with the majority of NECA Turtle stuff. I think they look like they jumped right out of the screen. These are incredibly faithful recreations of the 2012 art style in a way that moves well still. And I think they did a really solid job, especially when it comes to kind of getting the colors right and getting all the little details. There's going to be a bunch of stuff with this set in particular that I plain and simple just don't remember. I watched the show when it came out. I watched it years later with my daughter and my wife, but it's been quite a while since I revisited this show. I do remember loving it from beginning to end though, and I am very happy to have these figures. I don't necessarily think that these guys are really blowing me away in any other area but the visuals, but that's the major part for me. The fact that they do look so good. The colors are really well defined across each figure. They've got their hallmarks. They've got their callbacks to what's important to them. So Leo, of course, has weapon storage on his back for his swords. Raph has weapon storage on his back for his sais. Mikey's got these little compartments for his nunchucks. They do kind of get in Mikey's way, though. I'm not a big fan of how those work because he cannot put his arms down to his side all the way, which bugs the hell out of me on figure. And then Donnie, I hate to say this, he might be among my favorites in the line. Not that I have a problem with Donatello, I just like fighting people that love him over Leo. But he is really well done. His lankiness and the fact that he's slightly taller than the other brothers always worked for me with this show. He's got weapon storage on the back here as well. You have to put this one on. That's kind of a pain to get in there, but you do have to do that. There is one thing that I want to point out that really bugs the hell out of me with these figures, though. And it's a minor thing because I'm certain it will be corrected, but their eyes do not match right out of the box. Leo and Donnie have pupilless eyes. Raph and Mikey have eyes with pupils in them. Leo does not come with a head with pupils at all, and all of the others do, which is incredibly annoying to me. I have said a billion times at this point, I prefer eyes that don't have pupils most of the time, and while that will be my look here, I want to have all of them with the same kind of heads. So him not having it is a bit of an annoyance. That said, and it is something that we know we're going to get in an accessory pack or something down the road, I really can't stress enough, beyond that gripe, how good these figures look. They look like they just jumped right out of the show. They have a very clean look about them, which I think lends itself really well to the art style in the show, the CG style at the time. I think it really works. They do have a little scuffing and wear and tear. They've all got a little bit of battle damage on them, a little bit of scarring or just muck and grime, but they're ultimately very clean figures. Raph has his battle damage because he's always getting beat up or he's getting in trouble, so he's got, some gouges in his shells on both sides, which is nice. It's always nice to have him alleviate a little bit different because he's the hothead, of course, and he's always going to get busted up. But these guys look, they just look terrific next to each other. I'm really happy with how they turned out. Even with the 2012 style being so very different from what came before it, I'm a really big fan of the way these turtles look, both in the show and in figure form, that is. I think NECA absolutely killed it from top to bottom when it comes to the visuals. The paint is really nicely applied. Mikey in particular has an incredibly fun and goofy expression with those wide eyes and the big smirk. I do really like what they did with the pupilless heads, though, to give them that sort of stern look and the no-nonsense, the serious aspect, because when they do that in the show, things get more wild and it gets more intense, and that's always really cool to see that sort of shift. So I'm really happy that we do have both where it applies, and I will look forward to Leo's head down the road. All of these figures, though, from top to bottom, when it comes to the sculpting differences, I think they look great next to each other, being very similar, but also being very unique amongst each other. paint is really nicely done. They've all got the little speckling that's on those bodies, and they've all got painted wraps and the sort of leather, the faux leather look when it comes to their harnesses. NECA really did, for the 50th time, a great job of translating this art style into figures. And then as far as comparisons go, because I'm sure I'd never hear the end of it if I didn't do it, we've got this is what, the Turtles in Disguise, although his disguise is off, Leonardo from NECA, and those match up pretty well. I think they scale nicely, well, in terms of being similar anyway. And then the 2003 Super 7 Ultimates, which of course is on a slightly larger scale than the NECA stuff. Leo, I think, is the baseline, Leo and Raph. So there's Raph, and I think, he pretty much, it's just bulkier than Leo. He's not necessarily taller. Here is Mikey, and he's the baby, so he's smaller in pretty much every way, and he comes across that way when scaled with other stuff. And then on the flip side, Donatello, it being the tall one, is more in line in terms of overall height with the Ultimates than he is with the older NECA stuff. He is bigger. But I do think with these four kind of varying in size to a small degree across all of them, they are going to scale really nicely, at least how it looks now, with a lot of the other already existing turtle lines. Now, as far as accessories goes, these figures all have a really solid spread, lots of varying stuff. It's a very NECA turtle kind of thing. You've got all kind of the hallmark accessories, but then they've also got some esoteric, scene-specific, some weird stuff. To start with, and we're going to run through each turtle individually, Leo has an extra head sculpt. I've already kind of talked about this. This is one of my areas of, it's not frustration, it's annoyance, really. I'm probably, outside of like this video, probably never going to use this head again. It's a meditative, contemplative, kind of a calm head sculpt with closed eyes. He's the only turtle that has one of these, and he's the only turtle that doesn't include a set of open eyes with pupils. Typically, that wouldn't bother me. For some reason, it's just bugging the hell out of me with this figure. It does work really well. Like, it's not out of place for Leonardo at all. I just don't think I'm ever going to use it. So your mileage may vary on that one. It definitely fits the figure just fine. We do have a bunch of hands, and I think they all come with the same stuff. So he's got gripping hands on him in the box. Comes with a set of fists. I love getting fists with turtles. He comes with some style posy hands. So you've got like a fully open hand, and then he's also got like a surfer, like a radical kind of hand. You've got some cupping, slightly grasping but cupping style hands. These are useful for some of the other accessories. Obviously, one of the major things he comes with are his katanas, and Leo has two different kinds of katanas. One is longer than the other. They do fit in the sheaths. I will say one of the sheaths is tighter than the other, so watch that. It hasn't presented a problem, it's just one is noticeably tighter than the other for me. But these do look really good. They are very, very stylized in concert with the show, so that works really well. I'm really happy with these, actually. Those look great. We get a singular, and this might be kind of hard to show. This is like one of their little smoke bombs. It looks like an egg. This is a smoke bomb. You get a turtle com. I don't remember if they were called something else in this show. They were shell cells in the 2003 show, but that's too edgy for 2012, I think. They might have just been turtle coms. So you've got just a turtle com there. And then the last thing he comes with, this is a pretty specific thing, I believe. This is the Omni Disintegrator or something like that. This is something that the Krangs make in the show. I will say that he does not hold this very well. It doesn't really have a trigger finger type of necessity with this, but they don't have trigger finger hands. You would use like one of these cupping hands with it to kind of hold the end of it a little bit like that. But the grip on these hands is tight, and this grip is much, much bigger than the actual swords that he uses. So you might have to, fart around with this to make it fit, but it does look really good. It's a very, very 2012 style and design. A lot of paint and sculpt on this thing too. Like, they actually put a decent amount of work in this thing. It does look very, very similar to what's in the show. So he does come with, a decent amount of stuff. There are things with the other figures that I think really outshine Leo, unfortunately. But for what he comes with, barring the lack of the head I truly want, he does have a pretty solid spread. Now for Raphael, I'm not going to run through every single thing. I'm not going to run through the stuff we've already talked about. He does have the hands that Leo has, although he doesn't have like the style posy hands. He's got the cupping hands and the fists. He also includes the turtle com. He includes the smoke bomb. He also includes a slice of pizza. I don't recall if I said that with Leo, but he's got a slice of pizza. Leo has that too. He includes, of course, another head sculpt, and this is his head without pupils, but a very expressive screaming head sculpt, which of course fits Raph quite a bit. You can see inside the mouth, the whole 9 yards. This and, all of the pupilless heads, I think, ultimately are going to be what I go with for all of them. It's just my preferred look. I do want the pupil eyes, don't get me wrong. He also includes, of course, his sai, so you get 2 of these. And they do, of course, like I mentioned previously, they fit in the storage on his back. Watch out, these are, I mean, maybe not watch out, but just be aware of what you're doing with these. They are very, very thin. They're not necessarily brittle, but they're just really thin plastic, as you can expect. So you don't want to break them when you have no recourse for getting another one. He does come with some really goofy stuff too, which I really like. So we've got one of these little guys. This, I'm pretty sure this is one of Donatello's spy roaches that he uses to like spy on the Krang. So it's a roach with like a bunch of doodads on its back. Try to get a better shot of that, but you have this little guy. This kind of reminds me of like when they did the Fly Shredder in the original Toon line. It's a similar idea. You know, throw him up there on his shoulder. And then we also get, this is my favorite accessory for Raph in general. We get Chompy, his little turtle buddy with the spiked shell. He's got his tongue hanging out. I have said for years and years at this point, any turtle figure with a buddy, instantly cooler. Unfortunately, Leonardo does not get a buddy. I'm telling you, NECA has a thing against Leonardo for sure, but Raph does get this special treatment for sure when it comes to getting his little buddy. There is no articulation on this thing. It's just a little slug figure, but he will always be on display with this Raphael. I love the fact that they included that little guy. Now for Mikey, he has, again, some similar stuff, but he also has some different stuff. So he does, of course, include another head sculpt. So he matches across the board with everybody else by getting a pupilless head sculpt. He is also screaming like Raph. I really like this head sculpt. This might be my favorite of the ones that don't have pupils. It's just a different look for Mikey, especially in this show, because he is the ultimate goofy character. And then he is serious, no nonsense, ready to throw down with this head sculpt. I really like that. We do get some of the same hands. He also includes, however, he includes pointing finger hands. So you do get an extra set of those with him. He also includes the pizza slice, the smoke bomb, and the turtle comb. Now, of course, he also includes his nunchucks. They do have normal, real chains. So you've got those. You get 2 of these, obviously. And they can be stored in the little holsters on his belt. He also includes his kusarigami. So this is the one with like the curved blade on it that ends with like the weight on the end there. So you can have him holding this with 2 hands or wrap it around his wrist or something to give him a different kind of look and different weapon style. So that's really cool. However, he also includes a buddy, and his buddy is the best buddy, especially when it comes to this show. As much as I love Chompy and all the stuff we get with these figures, he includes Ice Cream Kitty, and I mean, I don't know what more I need to say. He has Ice Cream Kitty, and for the longest freaking time, this thing was like a major staple in my house with my daughter. The nonsense with Ice Cream Kitty never stopped, and I absolutely love the fact that he includes this. He is also articulated. He has a tiny little ball peg in there, so you can sort of move him around a little bit, this mutated freak monster. But I absolutely love him. The tail also moves too a little bit, so you've got the tail there. But I absolutely love this thing. You know, he's a melted mess of ice cream with a cat. It's an affront to nature, really, but I love the fact that they included this with Mikey. It perfectly fits with him, and it is definitely, you know, again, one of those things. I need buddies with turtle figures. It's just a hallmark thing for the past 30-some years. We need more of it, and I'm really happy that he included it. But Mikey does have a really solid spread, and again, probably my favorite head sculpt in this wave. And then to round it out, we've got Donatello. He is, again, similar to the others, but just different enough. So he does have some of the same accessories as the other figures. He's got the smoke bomb, he's got the pizza slice, he's got the turtle comb, he's got the cupping hands, gripping hands, and he's got the pointing fingers. So I definitely wasn't right that they all have the same hands, but they all share from a major pool of hands. He, of course, has an extra head sculpt, so this is the one that has pupils, and it very much captures the goofiness of 2012. I love, even Leo's head, I still like it, but I love this spread of heads that we get, because I love the fact that the turtles have this very goofiness to them when their eyes are visible, but when they all lose their pupils, they become much more serious. And it's just something that always stuck with me with this show. So I love the fact that at least 3 of them have both of those heads right out of the gate. And Donnie's looks great. I love the asymmetrical eyes. He does include his bow staff. of course, so they all have their signature weapons. It does come apart to help it be put in his hands easier, as well as put into the storage on his back. And watch out for this. Not that it's a concern, but it's really soft and rubbery, and you have to peg it into the shell. It's not part of him like the other figure storage is. So just keep an eye on that. This thing looks good. It's got the wraps if you put it in correctly. And then he does have, some good size on it too. So it's almost as tall as Donatello is as well. He includes his goggles, his little mask for when he's working. So you got that, a very Donatello thing to have, of course. He includes, I believe this is their tracker, although I couldn't tell you at this point what they were tracking, but it's basically a Game Boy with like some hand mixers, the paddles in there. Why not, right? And then he does include a buddy. So he includes Dr. Cluckingsworth. So this is a mutated chicken with a giant brain. I believe this was a girl also, if memory serves. But I just love the fact that we're getting these right away with the turtles, like point blank, first day one. I love it. I love getting Ice Cream Kitty, getting Chompy, getting the Doctor here. Although, of course, Leo doesn't include one. Again, NECA does have some sort of a problem with Leonardo, I think. But all of these figures taken as a whole, because I'm sure most folks aren't getting just one. Most folks are going to get all of them because that's what we do. Taken as a whole, there is a tremendous array of accessories here. All of the hallmarks, but just enough weird stuff to have it be interesting and different without overloading you with a million things you don't remember from this show. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with these figures. Granted, I did say they aren't blowing me away, and I kind of stand by that. They aren't exactly blowing me away. They do what they set out to do. These are good, solid interpretations of the 2012 Turtles. They still have some of the same hangups that most NECA Turtles have, or a lot of Turtles in general, with articulation, but they look tremendous. And I can't stress that enough. If you're into the visual aspect of your figures as much as I am, this is where they're going to excel. They look fantastic. They did a great job of translating these into figure form. Just the fact that we have a set of Turtles from NECA that, they're all really different. They are very similar, but they all have a lot of unique parts. They're different sizes. That's just fun, and it makes this set kind of stand out from others. Not to mention the fact that they do have a lot of really cool accessories, a lot of deep cut stuff, a lot of esoteric things. We get Ice Cream Kitty, which is worth the price of admission, sort of. I'm still not the biggest fan of what they did with the heads when it comes to Leonardo versus everybody else, but I'm sure that'll be corrected down the road. I'm just annoyed about it today. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA 2012 TMNT. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.